Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast, Everything Product. In this podcast, we talk about various technology insights, latest product management concepts, and we also host a wide variety of technology leaders shaping up our industry. Today is a very exciting episode for the Everything Product team because today is our 100th episode. We have been in this journey for the last 2 years, and we have learned a lot from several of you, several of our industry leaders. We have also grown from 0 to 40,000 subscribers during this time. So, thank you so much for trusting us and encouraging us throughout this journey. And I'm also excited about today's episode as well. We have Elangovan Shanmugam, a technology leader who is shaping up our financial technology industry. Elangovan is a distinguished engineer and a director at Intuit Tech Futures. He has over 30 years of experience building high scalable, performing, and reliable products throughout our industry. He has been very instrumental in several innovations at Intuit. He has won the prestigious Scott Cook Innovation Award not just once, but twice. He has over 20 different software patents, and he is also a tech advisor at several startups and charitable organizations. Elangovan, thank you so much for spending time with the Everything Product team today.
Thanks for that warm welcome, and I'm excited to be here and honored to be here with you guys.
Awesome. So, Elangovan, before we jump into the overall discussion, if you can give a quick introduction about yourself, just so that our audience will get to know about you, that'll be great.
I think you gave a great introduction, so I want to just add a little bit more on top of it, just to put the context around it. When you said financial applications, I was in Intuit for several years now, to be precise, 18 plus years. In this time, I worked as Mint chief architect and took the whole company into public cloud. So there's a system engineering aspect of things I've done quite a bit. Now I'm into a new journey where I started with this group called Intuit Futures, where we've been exploring a lot in AI space along with our data team and the AI team, and so this has been an exciting and learning experience for me, very humbling experience at this point because of the industry trend changing into AI.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And for everyone who's watching today, like, what are we discussing? So, I have been a product manager for some time now, and every time I build a product, so one thing that's constantly questioning me is, hey, are we giving the right experience for the customer? Personalization is very important. So if you think about your YouTube feed, Instagram feed, Facebook, etc., you want to see content that's more relevant for you. If you're focused on tech, you want to see tech. If you're focused on health, you want to see tech. So you want to see health related content. So with the advent of AI right now, so the personalization aspect has become hyper personalization. How can we utilize the latest technologies to make it like hyper personalized for the customers? And that's what we're going to be focusing today. So without any ado, let's start with a very simple and straight question, right? Ilangon, if you can start with explaining what hyper personalization is and how it differs from the typical personalization techniques that we use.
Yeah, the computer industry and the software industry has come a long way, right? And when you started on this thing called personalization way back, it is simple, put the name, put some date, and maybe put some location where you are from. But from that to now, it's gone beyond. Like you said, if you look at all the things that are there, let's say Amazon as an example, right? You go to the homepage, your homepage is very different from my homepage, right? And same with YouTube, same with Netflix, and those things started with simply by having the recommendation system, knowing the customer, you are going to offer them the right amount of content and which is relevant for them, so that you can actually create much more interest for them as opposed to doing something else. So now hyper personalization is adding a little bit more twist to that. Recommendation systems are also AI based in the past, right? There are a lot of things are happening behind the scenes. Now, with the hyper personalization, you think of the real time data merging with models and providing you unique experience for this customer, right? Only this customer is matter for me at this point in time. My application maybe today is a simple application, single application, where there are generalized experience for many customers. But now with the AI, things can be changed. It is very, very different. It becomes the unique experience. right? That is more critical here for this particular user, right? That's what's called hyper-personalization.
That's great, Elangovan. Yeah, thanks for explaining that. I want to go a little bit more deeper, right? In general, the personalization can be achieved through different kinds of attributes. But when we're thinking about hyper personalization, AI plays a very key role there. Can you give us some example of how we can make it unique per customer using AI?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. Today, in the current world, how things work, we go talk with customers as a product managers and we understand from their needs, and then we generalize it and we create a common denominator for all businesses and we create a product for them. Right now, customers are customizing their workflow based on the product that we gave to them or they are using. Now, think of a world where the small business can come and let the model know, here is how I work, here is my business processes. Right now, suddenly the model will learn from that business and the product will be uniquely set up for this business. Right, and it can be varying from business to business, and now it is more highly hyper personalized for each businesses that they are uh, training the system and using the application for their needs. That's more awesome way to look at it from the hyper personalization perspective.
That makes sense. So, like in general terms, right? Right now, if you think about multiple restaurants, all the restaurants are trying to do the exact same thing because toast works the same way. But now, what we are trying to say is instead of having everyone try to simplify their unique processes for toast, now toast in itself can optimize itself so that it can adapt to unique needs of the customer. Awesome.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Exactly.
So how does all of these things work together? Like, what is the instrumentation behind that, and what are we trying to normally, when you, on your experience, right, what have you tried to use to optimize all of this feed? Can you maybe throw more light on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So today there are so many LLMs out there, right? And there are things that we can actually leverage them as they are, right? And they are so smart and they give you such a crisp responses for you, right? But now add the personal data to it. This is a very way to think about. There is LLM that are trained probably a year ago, 2 years ago, and they are static, right? If we go ask them some of the questions about, hey, can you tell me about this? And say, I'm trained up to this far, I don't know what happened after that, right? It will give you some answer and then it'll give you this disclaimer, right? And now you make it more real time for this customer for now, right? And also augment that response with your user's data, right? I'll give again into an example. Let's say this user exercise some RSUs. Okay, if this user comes back year from now and he goes to TurboTax and filing the tax, right? Now tax will calculate and tell you you have to pay more taxes because you exercise RSU in, let's say, June last year, right? Hyper-personalization would be very useful when you say, hey, you exercise this tax, you exercise this RSU, you better go and file your estimated tax because government is not, our brokerage companies are not taking the tax at the source right now, right? If you don't do this now, next year come, when you go file it, you are going to be filing more interest, you have to pay more interest, additionally you have to pay tax, right? So now it is, you can save that money for that customer, right? Now if you look at it, how do I actually do this from the backend perspective, right? Now I need to have some model, right, and understand all the activities that you're doing and watch out for your future things, and so that I can actually save you money. Okay, Intuit's primary mission is powering prosperity around the world, right? Specifically for saving money, making more money for the customers, and this is one of the ways you can do that. I don't know if
Right.
I'm answering that, Sid, from the
Yeah, yeah,
dynamics perspective from the backend. Answering that, Sid, from the
yeah, yeah.
dynamics perspective from the backend.
Yeah, I got it. So essentially, you're saying you're using an LLM or a model. Maybe you are also hyper personalizing that based on the recent data, even though the model is predated, by maybe using RAG or some other ways where you
Exactly.
can ground the model with the latest data, right? So, like,
Absolutely.
and have you tried like different RAG models, and what is a specific model which you use, and can you throw more light there?
So RAG itself is a kind of a framework. It's
Yep.
you can imagine where we are actually using RAG in places where we are actually experimenting some things with again tax and with other places. So think of like I'm training this model with new tax rules, right? Now you are fine tuning for that domain, right? LLM is there. We use a base LLM, but then again we are fine tuning for that particular domain, right? And now I'm training it with a certain purpose, right? I can train this way saying that, hey, can you explain why this particular thing is happening for this customer, right? Let's say they explain why is a product that you're building, okay? Now LLM can give you so much up until what it is trained for. Now you apply the RAG method to add additional things into this. First thing is you train the model with additional data, but you don't need to train all the data for the tax rules into the LLM. Right? They now can be in the RAG system. We use some neural DB. It doesn't matter. We can use any kind of a graph DB or any other things also possible. But you can use the data at the back. Now, when you're creating the prompt for the LLM, now you feed this context from the RAG system, right?
Got it. Got it.
Now, when you do that, the response will come with, because you provided the content or the context, now LLM will generate output based on the context that you gave and the prompt that you gave to the LLM. So it is no more trained in the past and it stayed in the past, right? It is actually doing it with the current systems and the current things that you are feeding that into. Now you can imagine the similar thing with customer data. You don't need to put the customer data into the LLM, right? That is, in fact, no, actually, right? You don't want to put the customer data into the public domain LLMs or even LLM that are sitting as in the model.
Yes.
It would be best if you can get the data in a RAG system and you augment the prompt such that you provide the context and get the output for that customer with their data.
Awesome. Awesome. Sounds good.
That makes
Yeah, I
sense.
think that explains, right? So essentially, you're saying that there is one model which is hyper, at least trained on that specific use case, which you want to use the model for, and all the real-time data is basically augmented using the RAG framework, right? All of the LLM is grounded using that, and then essentially you can actually provide that output of hyper personalization to the users. Awesome.
That's correct. That's correct.
That makes sense. Like, I have a comment here. Like, going back to your RSUs example, like everyone has probably a different use case. Like, even with RSUs, you might have like short-term gains, long-term gains. It could go both ways. Like, we could proactively tell when a customer is selling that, dude, if you sell it, now you're paying like 30% taxes. But if you wait for a week or if a couple of weeks, you would be paying like long-term gains of like just 10%. So
Right.
just giving that high recommendation at a very proactive way itself could save like thousands of dollars for the consumers.
I have this another use case, an example that I always give. Um, I don't know if it is this still true or not. The solar panel installation gets you clean energy credit for the customers, right? That's part of the tax.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you did not know about it and you did not install, right? You probably are losing $10,000, right? Because federal
Mm-hmm.
giving you 7,000 and local government giving you 2,500, 3,000, whatever, right? Now, if you did not know this, you're going to lose it, right? Because the tax knowledge has that information. If somebody sold, sorry, if somebody installed, they can get this much credit, right? But let's say somewhere around November, you realize this person did not install solar panel. Can I go give them a recommendation saying that, hey, if you go install this year before now December 31st, you are eligible to get $10,000, $10,000, right? Now, if you did not know about it, and if this thing is not there as a recommendation, you are going to lose that money.
Yep.
And it'll be too late when you go and you give this information during the filing the tax.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
agreed. I mean, I think as we all know, there are a lot of technologies that are enabling this hyper personalization. If you want to pick few like AI technologies which are powering this, what would you say, Elangovan?
So the technology, see, LLM is the core for many of these things. Additionally, I think we would have to implement or invest in things like decision tree, neural networks, right? To actually identify certain things in a way. So neural network is a great tool for recognizing certain signals, right? And decision tree is more helping you to with deterministic decisions, right? Because tax or other things cannot be probability based, right? You have to be very, very precise. You can't tell customers that, hey, I'm 90% accurate. That will be no, right? It has to be 100%, right? And therefore some decision tree. There is other thing that I recently learned is something called neurosymbolic AI, which is also called hybrid AI. So there's a neural network augmented with or additionally added with symbolic programming, which is again some sort of a notation based rules. So you pass information through both the systems to get the right output for the customers. So therefore, these are different technologies that will be very useful. And we are also experimenting something called end-to-end neural network, so that you can actually make much more concrete decisions. Today, it's still conceptual state right now. We are not there anywhere near to the nirvana state, or even not to a mature state. So we are still experimenting some of these things right now.
Awesome. Actually, I have
Awesome.
a question. Like, I know Intuit is like exploring a bunch of things, and I know you might not be able to share everything, but if you could give like few examples of things that you're exploring for our customers, that'll be really great.
So you probably, I don't know if you had seen the announcement from CK. We have recently introduced Intuit Assist in Credit Karma product. So far you would have seen in Credit Karma, there are recommendations come from probably based on some sponsorship or based on some other group, like cluster based algorithms and all that, right? Now now we have Mint moving into Credit Karma, and we already have the Credit Karma data as part of the credit history and everything else in Credit Karma. Now we can actually put them together to make more personalized recommendation for the customer, right? And the customers can come and ask questions, or any sort of things into the Intuit Assist. It will answer with the specific answer for you and your situations. So that's one thing that just recently we released that. And probably Mariana, when she was CTO, she announced out there, we actually investing in our own financial language model. Of course, we are using something specific, some open source model, or maybe some license model, LLM. And on top of it, we are adding financial domain. Basically, it's a fine tuned for financial fintech, right? And that's something that's going on internally. And there's more things that are being worked out, which as you said, you cannot reveal now. But there are things that are happening. But in general, we have we basically look for customers and their problems and see what we can actually help with them, right? And one other thing I can actually say is that we are also trying to figure out the agents, AI agents. Probably heard a lot of things out there. So AI agents are going to be a critical, initiative going forward, right, across industry. So, which we are also exploring.
Actually, I would love to go a little bit more deeper into that. I know agents in general, the concept is everything a human does manually to a certain extent. We would have like some bots doing those things for the customer. But if you can shed more light into that, that'd be awesome as well.
Yeah. So AI agents, in our at least in Intuit way of looking at it is, how do we actually create some sort of a digital twin for small business and small business employees, so that the digital twins will perform tasks on behalf of the employees and the small business owners, right? And this is at a very core level, at a high level. We are thinking, what would it take for us to run a company with agents. Right now, you can that basically the again fundamental thing again from the product perspective, right? What's the big outcome that we are actually looking for? Can we make these customers' time from 8 hours a day to 100 hours a day, right? Because they are juggling many things at a given time, right? Can these agents, again coming back to the hyper personalization, can these small business owners train these digital twins to perform their actions on behalf of them? Right? This is something that we are exploring. You can imagine how the product aspect of things, that's where the AI agent is a solution for something, right? Now, how do we actually put that solution for a problem, right? Think about that we are expanding the time for the customer. That's the core that we are trying to tackle.
I mean, given that we are talking about the financial space, right? There's obviously a lot of loss and stuff that we need to keep into consideration. And again, going back to AI as well, we need to make sure we are we're building products that are ethical and responsible for the customers. Can you shed some light on like how Intuit as a company or Intuit Futures as a team is looking into it?
So like you said, fintech is not an easy thing, and on top of it, being ethical and being responsible is a key thing for us, right? Because we don't want to do anything wrong with our customers and wrong with our customers' data, right? And our legal team is on it, our privacy department is on it, our data team is on it, right? And so we look at everything that we deliver with those eyes, right? So the ethical AI and responsible AI is very important for us. And so first of all, let's understand what this means is, right? At a high level, ethical AI means that the models that you're developing does not have any sort of a biased response, right? Does not have anything harmful for our customers, right? It should not create any sort of discrimination. The model should not be behaving differently for different people, right? And similarly, for you don't want to box that customer into a thing, right? This is one of the complaints that I always hear about YouTube or Amazon, other things, right? Hey, they want to sell this content, and therefore they are pushing this content to me, as opposed to there are other things that I may be interested in, other things that I have to go look for, right? While we are talking about hyper personalization, at the same time, how do we actually make sure we are not boxing that customer? We are not modeling them in a way that it is putting them into that thing where whatever the content that you want to sell to them, right? And those are the kind of things that we have to be cautious about. How do you really provide that experience, right? And similarly, for example, when the customer tells us, hey, do not use my data for training purposes, or do not use my data for a specific thing, for a collective users things, right? If it is personalized, probably okay. Again, depends on how we actually are providing that experience to the customer. If the customer says, do not include my data for training purposes, we will not include it, right? Which is a privacy concern. The GDPR and everything else is already defining these things. So that is very important.
Yeah, I can totally hear you. Being in the financial sector right now, JP Morgan, I mean, that's one of our top priorities. Like the company is okay if we delay our features, but we have to make sure the GDPR, the California Consumer Protection Acts, all that are in place. So yeah, definitely totally hear you and resonate with you there.
Yeah.
One of the questions which I had was the future of the cyber personalization. How do you see evolving it in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh yeah, so 5 to 10 years is a long time, and the way that the industry is moving right now, right?
Yeah.
What I could think of is right. You see the industry trends, right? The experiences are going to be vastly different from it is only just by keyboard and the phone interfaces, right? There will be probably the metaverse interfaces or the goggles, right? Or maybe simple goggles as opposed to the heavy ones that we have right now. Even going to be a lot more interfacing with avatars, right? The digital avatars that can can communicate, because LLMs can actually interpret all these things. Now look at humanoid bots are coming up, right? So they are going to be sitting around in your in your living room with you, right, and doing things for you, right? So the things are changing so differently, and predicting for 5 to 10 years may be a little hard, but next 2 to 3 years is like going to be like a huge shift from how we are actually interfacing today with keyboards and the phones is going to change a lot, right? I can imagine everybody's sending messages through voices, some natural languages, no more forms that you are going to be presenting to the customers, because you can speak to them, right? And these things are going to change the way that the humans are interacting with the computers, right? So we have to watch out for all these things as a product managers. I think your responsibility to look for what's the best way to provide this kind of experiences to the customers is going to be huge.
Yeah, I think this has been one of, I think, for a lot of product managers, I'm sure out there from leadership, the question has been like, make sure your use cases, your stories include the something related to AI whenever you're writing PRDs. So that's been one of the common asks from leadership these days.
Right. I think so. The way that I would say, right, the customer problems are still the customer problems, right? How do we solve that with the different ways is what we are actually shifting it, right? In my mind, this is what Scott Cook taught us, right? Look for the customer problem. Do not fall in love with your solution, right? So when you hear that, now we need to figure out what are the problems that we are actually solving, which will change the experience completely, how it was done before versus the future. Right? That is, I think, is the difference with the AI, right? And we may say AI is a solution for searching for problems. Now it is changing. It is becoming day to day now, right? You see everywhere that is there even before you realizing it, right? So therefore, now we need to interface with them, interface with these computers completely differently, right? It could be computer today, it could be something else, right? You remember you saw these devices sitting on your chest, and you walk with those devices, right? It's still yearly, right now they are not quite there out there, but they can all now change. They can actually help you as you are walking in the roads, right? So yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing. And way back, I think maybe Funny remembers this, and I think one of the things that we discussed about was, let's say I walk on on a street, and I see suddenly there is a for sale board on a, let's say, property. If my phone or if the device is sitting on my chest, and it looks at the house, and can it actually try to calculate and tell you whether you can afford that house or not, or if you have to buy that house, what you should be doing as a financial plan, right? So think of it that, right, that is completely changing the way that you're interfacing with things today, right? Obviously, today people are sitting in the home and couch, and they are looking for properties in Zillow or other places. But imagine a way to think about experiencing even that, right? Let's say I'm looking at Zillow, right, and in the property you are seeing, the moment you click on it, can there something else watching out, and the agent maybe, right, watching out and telling you, hey, whether you can buy this house now, or you should plan for purchasing the house, put a financial plan for you, right? That is, in my opinion, the changing the world, the AI is changing the world, how you interface with things.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think,
I remember the deep discussion, Elangovan. We had like multiple times where how can we make that experience personalized? Because even now at this day and age, buying a home is a crazy process. Like you will be looking at some 15 houses, 20 houses just to figure out what you want. Like imagine a world where instead of having like hundreds of options where everything is different, I could give my preference, and a hyper personalized product comes back and says, hey, these four are the critical ones that will be like extremely good for you and your interests. And it could give a visual of how it looks like, tells me the financials and stuff, and then gives a detailed explanation to say, hey, this is how you buy it. And then if you buy it now, this is how it's going to look like. And then if you want to invest in the future, these are all the additional things that you could look at. That would be amazing. Yep.
Right. And so
It's
this is
not
how I
we
think I see.
No, I'm saying like maybe funny. It's not we giving the preferences, but the recommendation engine figuring out what we like and showing
Yeah.
us all of the stuff, right? Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, exactly. I mean, that's I think is the way, right? I mean, that's where the product manager's mind is going to be shifting and seeing, constantly thinking about what are the new ways but we can actually help the customers to achieve their goals.
That is true.
Yeah, I have a slightly off-topic question. I think this is probably one of the common questions that's been out there. Is hyper-personalization or AI replacing people? Like, I know a lot of people are concerned about jobs, especially with AI. I mean, revolutionizing in the last 1 year. What would you say in this space? This,
I think there are a lot of researches are going on in the future of work and things like that. You can look at those papers out there. The primarily, I think, in my mind, it is going to enable for people to do more with their short time that they have, right? So that's where this 100x kind of a growth that we are looking for, right? So can this be for 100x for everybody? No, maybe not, right? And so how do you really figure out, how do you really provide that type of things for the customer? It may replace some other work, okay, but that doesn't mean that is everything else is gone, right? For example, I this example always comes, right? Because generating content, maybe the writing is going to be becoming easier, or people may not even need writers anymore. Is it really true? Right? Maybe LLMs can go and create scenarios, but somebody has to trigger and ask that type of thing, right? Now, this is where the co-pilot experience will be very, very important, right? Let's say you are an author and you want to write something, right? And now you go tell it will want to write it, right? But can you make it more interesting, and how you actually put that masala to it, right? The spices to it is going to change the way that you're writing, right? So I think we'll have to look, watch out for these things, and how is going to enable more versus it becomes hey, it's going to take away my job. That I think you have to look those in different perspective and say, what can I do much more than what these things that the mundane jobs are taken care.
yeah, I agree with you. I think the way I'm seeing is it's helping us to be more efficient, increase our productivity, and helping us do that same thing in a short amount of time. I think, like you said, we may get like a first draft, right? However, you still need the copywriting, the constant styling. You need to follow all those guidelines to make sure it's a good version.
Yeah.
Yep. No, great conversation, Lingon. So I want to ask one question, especially for like product managers, right? Um, Many of us are in the journey, like starting to build the products, and many of them are in the very early stages, don't know where to start, what to look at, what kinds of technologies they need to learn. So if you can shed some light into some emerging trends product managers need to learn, and so that we can stay ahead of the hyper personalization aspect, right? That would be great.
Right. I think we talked a little bit about this in the previous conversation as well, right? The things like, how do you change the experience, right? Because no more computers are like only way you are interfacing with the digital digital world, right? So this is where I think we need to be like thinking about what does that mean for us to provide that the new way of interfacing with things, right? So if I'm starting a new product as a new product manager, right, what I would think is that look at the problems the customers are facing, right? That's a key thing, right? Then you take that problem and interpret it, right? Like what we talked about just now, talked about, let's say, purchasing a property, right? I don't know where the all the things that we discussed is there in one single product, right? Zillow can do you something, right? The lending product may be doing something else, right? There's a go look for the insurances and this and that. There's some other product that does that for you, right? Now, how do you actually create this cohesive experience? How do you actually create those networks, right? Can I start from finding my brokers to the lenders to the properties? Imagine that, right? That is a problem that you are solving, right? How would that AI connecting to different worlds, different parts of the systems, and make their experience great for you. Right? I would think from that angle. Let's not start from, oh, there's LLM and the LLM will tell me everything.
Customer first and problem first mindset. Yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense.
Awesome. So yeah, I think we went through a lot of good discussion, and also Elangovan, if you want to give our at least listeners, right, some resources about any books you would recommend or podcasts, that will be great.
That's awesome. So it is very timely. I've been doing a course with Columbia Business School, and
Okay.
this course is all about digital transformation. And the author David Rogers, he's actually the professor for the course. He wrote this book called Digital Transformation for Business Leadership. So
Okay.
it actually gives you the tools and the way to think about and validate your idea to bring it to the business, right? It gives you the basics of everything. And I would think that's the best book that you can actually go and read. I'm actually doing a course off of that book. So it's that wealth of knowledge. Okay. And then the second book that I recently came across in one of the classes that I attended in the same course is called Loud. The author named Martina, I forgot her last name. And this book is primarily for product managers. Okay, how do you create product that is loved by customers? Right, what are the process that you would go through? And there's one another book that I recently again came across was Decision Sprint. It is also awesome. Concept itself is very so awesome. Right now, you take an idea and can you say, hey, that idea is a viable idea that I need to go and do.
Yes.
Okay, so that decision sprint. Have you seen that, Sid?
This one, right?
You have it?
Yeah. The sprint book.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I think those are the books that come to my mind, especially in this era of things that are happening with product management and
Awesome.
the AI.
Yeah, because I think things are changing by the week, and people are looking for different resources to learn about all of these things. So we'll also link all of this in the description. So anybody who's watching, please take a look at, and you can use those resources.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elangovan. Thank you so much for spending time and giving all the valuable insights. And yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you, Elangovan.
Awesome.
It was a pleasure talking to you folks.
Same here.